This GCW show had just enough to keep me watching, and then it collapsed. The moments misfired, the stories rushed, and by the end, I was straight up disappointed. Stay with me, because I'm going to break down exactly how it fell apart. GCW's crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious gave us a card that looked like it had all the ingredients. A big title defense with Oliver and Price, a violent, ultra-violent title match with Matt Tremont, and even some international flavor like Mayu Yamashita. And for a second, I thought they might actually pull it off. But as we go match by match, you'll see how things either didn't go long enough, didn't connect, or straight up missed. Now, some moments came close, like a shocking heel turn no one saw coming, but even that couldn't have saved the momentum. So let's break this down, match by match, moment by moment, and figure out how a show that had pieces never became the full picture. The card opened with the GCW Tag Team title match that actually felt like a real fight between two teams who knew how to make each other better. Alec Price and Jordan Oliver defended against Subculture. From the opening bell, it was clear this wasn't just two pairs of wrestlers trading spots. It was momentum meeting resistance. Subculture's timing, especially on their tandem counters, kept Oliver and Price from ever getting too comfortable, while Oliver responded with precision, and Price brought that unfiltered GCW chaos. The best way to describe it, it felt like a relay race where neither team wanted to be the first to drop the baton. Every tag added speed, every exchange built tension, and there was a wicked acid bomb counter by Oliver that turned the tide, and Price landed a double foot stomp that made the crowd jolt. It was competitive, creative, and both teams felt locked in. I gave this 3 3/4 stars, easily one of the few times on this card where it felt like everyone in the ring had something to lose. Next up was the GCW ultra-violent title match. Matt Tremont defended against Ares in a match that lived up to the word ultra-violent without feeling like a parody of itself. This was blood, doors, chairs, and ladders used with weight, not just noise. Tremont brought that steady presence he always has in these deathmatch adjacent wars, not rushing, not overplaying anything, while Ares balanced the chaos with athleticism in a way that gave the match texture. There was one sequence where Tremont powerbombed Ares onto a ladder balanced across chairs, and that wasn't just the finish. It was the moment where the whole match clicked. Both men were hurting, the crowd leaned in, and that slam finally had that finality to it. I gave this one 3 3/4 stars, not just because of the violence, but because it knew how to end and when to stop. This didn't feel like a stunt reel, it felt like something earned. The JCW title was on the line next as Masha Slamovich faced off with Jonathan Gresham in what turned out to be one of the more technically sound matches of the night. This didn't rely on flash or pace. It was controlled, grounded, and constantly shifting underneath. Gresham was in his element, making the smallest movements matter, while Masha didn't just hang, she pressed him, forcing changes, keeping up, and eventually overtaking him. There was a stretch in the middle where the counter started stacking up, and it turned into a quiet chess match, one that never felt like it was stalling. It felt earned when Masha finally put him away, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. Not just because it was clean and well executed, but because it was one of the few matches on the show that gave both wrestlers room to breathe and actually tell something with their body language. Now, when you book Ninja Mac and Starboard Charlie, you're not asking for logic. You're asking for momentum, and that's exactly what this match gave. It didn't pretend to be anything more than what it was. A sprint built on athleticism. Mac hit a Rana from one of the upper sections onto the floor that looked reckless even for him, and somehow Charlie just bounced back into rhythm. Later on, Mac pulled out a sunset bomb through a door that snapped so loud it looked like both of them regretted it midair. There was no deep story here, but honestly, it didn't need one. This was about ride and reaction, and both guys delivered something the crowd could actually feel in real time. I gave this one 3.5 stars, Not because it was tight or clean, because it wasn't at times, but because it was alive the entire time, and sometimes that's enough. The GCW World Title match had the names, it had the crowd, and for a minute it looked like it might turn into something. Feed defending against Hammerstone should have more weight. Two wrestlers with presence, two fan bases that care, but the match never really got out of that second gear. There were flashes, a solid back and forth stretch midway through, and a brutal backslam on the apron from Effie that got the crowd leaning forward. But the pacing didn't give it room to build. And when it ended, it felt like we only got half the story. I gave this one 2 3/4 stars because while the effort was there, the structure just didn't back it up. It was fine, but for a title match, fine doesn't cut it. Not in this spot, and not with these two. Mayu Yamashita vs. Maki Ito had a story people were ready to buy into. Underdog grit against undeniable force. And for the first few minutes, the crowd leaned in like they were waiting for it to break open. Maki kept pushing through the strikes, selling the mountain she was trying to climb, and Mayu just gave enough for the audience to believe she might slip. But the match never made that turn. The rhythm stayed too steady, and what should have looked like a struggle started to feel like it was stuck in place. I gave this 2 3/4 stars, not because it lacked effort, but because it didn't shift gears when it needed to. You could see the structure, you could hear the crowd wanting more, but the match never took the next step. Atticus Cogar vs. Sam Stackhouse was shaping up to be one of those mid-card matches where you watch, enjoy, and forget, until the final few minutes flipped everything. The match itself was fine, built mostly around Stackhouse trying to use his size while Cogar chipped away at him, but it never really kicked into gear. Then Sam hit this beautiful counter, a Sam driver out of nowhere, and it felt like we were finally getting somewhere. And then just when it looked like the match might redeem itself, Fuego Del Sol showed up and cost Stackhouse the win. Now the post-match beatdown, that's where the story actually started. Fuego turning on Stackhouse had more spark and in direction than the match itself. And now I'm actually looking forward to what comes next. I gave the match 2 stars, but the angle afterwards, that's what people are going to remember. Jimmy Lloyd vs. Mance Warner was picking up some steam. Not in the show stealer kind of way, but it had that GCW grime and grit that fans come for. Mance was throwing hands like a guy who just wanted to get in and get out, and Jimmy was matching his energy punch for punch. Then came the Matt Cardona interference. And look, I get it. It's part of a longer story. It sets up more down the line, but it cuts this match off at the knees. You could feel the air getting sucked out of the crowd. I gave this one 2.5 stars, mostly for what it was trying to build towards, but the finish didn't help anybody. Mance gets the win, but the way they got there dragged the whole thing down. The triple threat between Zara Zarker, Brittany Books, and Vipress came and went so fast it felt like someone hit fast forward on the segment. There was no real time for packing or escalation. It was a collection of quick moments strung together, just long enough to call it a match. That said, Zarker made the most of it. She came off as the most locked in of the three, with sharper timing and better presence when the camera found her. I gave this one 1 1/4 stars, not because anyone mailed it in, but because it was rushed, to the point that it barely registered. It could have been a real showcase with time, but instead, it felt like a trailer for something we probably are not going to see. This show had moments that worked, but the card as a whole never really came together. You had solid tag action, a strong ultra-violent title match, and flashes of technical quality from Gresham and Masha, but everything else got cut short, fell flat, or felt like something that was set up for something that didn't happen here. There's nothing wrong with laying groundwork, but when over half the card feels like an advertisement for future matches, the event you're watching stops feeling like a show and starts feeling like a placeholder. GCW's energy is supposed to be chaotic and unpredictable, but here it felt like they were holding back, like the booking pulled punches that the talent didn't. I give this one a 7.0 out of 10, but I don't recommend this. There's nothing here you need to go out your way and see.